Welcome to Discourse. That's Retha.
That's Tony.
And today we're talking about The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. So I did not read this book. I listened to the audiobook during a long car ride. So I got, I think, a different perspective than most people because I think the text of the book kind of gives it a little bit more character. Whereas for me, the audiobook, it was narrated by somebody that was very good at reading it, but also bringing out the personality of the protagonist, who is a 14-year-old boy.
No, he's like turning 13.
Yeah.
In like a
so
month.
the story, they're on an alien planet and there's this young boy growing up in an all-male society and they can all hear each other's thoughts. And they're also a militaristic society, like they're building an army. Then he starts to realize that they're building an army to invade other people and that he has to become a soldier in that army and he doesn't want to. So he basically runs away to save himself.
Well, a lot of that though is actually figured out by most people other than him at the beginning and throughout the story. He's kind of like the last one to know everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's because he starts off so young. And when you're that young, you know what I mean? Life is kind of a little over your head, but because he's on survival mode and it's a different world, you know, he has to kind of grow up faster. I feel
like the mystery was kind of contrived though. Like it was only mysterious because nobody ever took 2 seconds
to tell him,
to describe what was going on to him.
I know, poor guy. He was like, what is going on? Just tell me.
So if somebody had spent like 5 minutes to say, hey, this is why things are happening,
right.
I felt like the character would have been a little more like in the know, of course, but also willing to go along with running away and saving people.
Yeah, it was extremely frustrating for me. I both read it and listened to it. So I was just so frustrated throughout the whole story. Him not only repeating himself a lot for pages upon pages about the same exact moment or thought.
He is a complainer.
But I felt like, how did he not sense that or figure that out? Like, I felt like I got it before he did. I don't know if it's because I'm older than him or what. And then I was like, why don't people just fill him in? He's obviously young. This has a lot to do with him. He's like the center of it all, really.
Yeah,
and he knows nothing.
He's supposed to be the center of this. So essentially, he goes on the run, and then this army is chasing him through this forest towards a town called Haven, which is like the biggest town on the planet, I'm guessing. So they're on an alien planet. They're on, they're all male, and then they can hear each other's voices. So you got 3 mysteries going on,
right?
And none of them are answered directly. We slowly learn them throughout the story. And the mystery, once solved, is not very interesting. Yeah. I felt like we realized they're on an alien planet because they were colonizers. Okay, that's not like groundbreaking sci-fi, and it wasn't especially interesting after you knew they weren't on Earth. He meets a girl that you can't hear her thoughts, but also he was told that there's only men on the planet, which is, come to find, spoiler alert, come to find out that's not true.
Right.
So he's told a lot of lies, and he's just simply not given information.
But that makes a lot of sense, even with, you know, our world, right? There's a lot of countries still who are kept in the dark with a lot of things and aren't told a lot of, or told a different history or version of the truth. So I felt like, oh, okay, well, at least that makes sense. I get that. And as it explains it, how the men, like they were the only ones with noise, started to become kind of like when you're thinking someone's up to something and they're not, but you're being like...
Oh, paranoid?
Yeah, like they were totally paranoid about the women not having noise. So they're like, there's something wrong with them because... You know, they're plotting something because I can't hear what they're thinking, or, you know, what's their plan.
That was a good twist. And then I think that's kind of why the boy runs, because he starts to learn a little bit about their past and he doesn't like it, so he takes off. And he's heading towards Haven because it's the biggest city and he feels like it's going to be safe there.
No, the 2 men that are watching, basically protected him growing up when you later find out why they were basically left in charge of him. They were like father figures to him. At some point before he turned to man, their plan was to get him out of the town for this specific reason that they never tell him about.
Yeah, they're like, run for your life, never look back at the life you had for some unknown reason.
And he's like, but why? Why do I have to leave? The only thing that I know, even though I hate it to pieces, I don't understand why you're pushing me away and like to my death. I don't get it. Explain yourself. And there's no explanation, just run. And then he finds Viola And he's like, I've never seen a girl before, but I know she's a girl because she don't look like me.
Yeah.
You know, I know that she's a girl. I've never seen one, but she's a girl. And that is almost kind of like a tiny little bit of how his dialogue worked the entire time.
Yeah.
Was repetition of the same thought. And I don't know if that was just to kind of give you like a piece of how his noise worked or how their noise works. That's just so annoying.
Yeah, no, he was
annoying.
He was so like innocent and naive, but his naivety like really got grating after a while. Like, you know, heroes are supposed to go on a journey and change because of it, but it seemed like he went on this journey and never changed. Like he was constantly the same annoying child, even up to the end. He wasn't realizing things when he was supposed to go through this traumatic event that made him a stronger person, maybe realize dangers before they happened. He never seemed to grow up throughout the story. He continued to be this really naive character that was constantly complaining. I was tired of his complaining by the end. And like I said, I listened to the narrator, so the narrator was very good at capturing this 14-year-old boy's voice or whoever it was. And it was just him running through the forest complaining, coming to a town, witnessing mass murder, running to another town, complaining, and then rinse and repeat for 400 pages.
Yes. Oh my God, it went on forever. And I kept telling Abel, because as I was reading it, I felt like it was more frustrating reading that rather than listening to it. So thank God I had it broken up between reading and listening, because my God, I think I would have stopped reading at like 100 pages, no joke.
It was very annoying to read. And when I read the reviews on Amazon, all of the one-star reviews had the same exact complaint, was that the boy was super annoying and that this was a young adult novel, but it seemed to have a lot of killing and murder in it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of death and violence where I feel like a lot of young adult novels nowadays are not really focusing on young adult themes. They just have young adult writing and then just use whatever themes they want. In this one, it's fairly graphic, where I feel like young adult writing is more of like a crutch nowadays, right? So writers don't have to use poetic prose or something like that, or use complex prose. They rather just write a simple story. And that's fine, because I also feel like readers want a simple story. They don't want to have to do all these mental gymnastics.
Right. It's nice sometimes,
But that's why I feel like maybe it shouldn't be categorized as young adult anymore if you have adult themes, not just young adult writing. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a difference.
But I think maybe kind of like the film and like TV industry and stuff, right? A lot of the ratings are changing over time.
Oh, what's
because
acceptable
they want
for
more,
R rating?
Yeah, because they want more viewers. So if you want more readers, call it a young adult one. Maybe if there's not sex in it, it's fine. There's a lot of blood and gore, but it's fine. There's no sex. So.
And I think you're right. Like the line for what is like nudity nowadays is also changed.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you would ask people back in like the 80s, if a thong and like, you know, a tiny bra would have been fine, they'd be like, no, but today it's acceptable.
On the billboards.
Yeah.
Right there.
So that's definitely PG rating.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of where this falls.
So I think it's okay young adult writing. Like I didn't feel like it was exceptional. But
is it young adult because he was a young adult?
It's a young adult because the author categorized it as young adult. That's all the, you know what I mean? Like if he had categorized it as like new adult or just simply like thriller or sci-fi, it would have been for adults, but he wouldn't have sold as many books, right? Young adult novels sell really well, so he just dumbed down the language and listed it under young adult.
And
hate me in the comments.
Yeah, but like how I enjoyed so much how much little education they all had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I actually really liked it. It built their society in my mind like pretty strongly. I was like, okay, and I actually really enjoyed that part. I liked it. I liked the audiobook where like the accent that he gave them. I think that was probably my favorite part, was how the society was itself. You know what I mean? Yeah,
the backdrop to the world and the world itself was really well done. There was a lot of description about it. Like he was going through the forest most of the time, so he was talking about bogs and alligators and
all kinds of weird creatures
and the different towns he encounters. He kind of explains it very well. So the world that they inhabit is very detailed, but.
Yeah.
And I feel like the characters are also detailed. They're just not that interesting. Like
I don't know. Aaron was pretty interesting. He scared the crap out of me.
So that's what I was gonna say. Aaron is very intense. Aaron is the like antagonist through most of the story. He's chasing the kids along with an army, but he's also the main one trying to kill the kid. Not even kill him. He's chasing after him for the oddest reason. Yeah. Should we ruin the ending? I don't think so. But you're right. The very odd ending. And that's what I mean. Like his character is interesting because of his intensity, but he's only one-dimensional because he's always angry. Like there's nothing else to him. Well, the boy is always naive and scared. Aaron is always angry. The girl seems to be scared mostly and sometimes brave. And then the boys, I guess, like godparents, Killian and the other man, seem to always be caring, right? Yeah. Like I said, they're always just one-dimensional. Like there's nothing else to them. They're never in a situation that challenges them or makes them be different.
Right. It's always just fight or flight sort of situation.
Well, that's a good example. Yeah. This whole story is fight or flight.
Yeah, it's just all fight. That's what I was talking about with Abel. It's like, it's just all fight or flight. And it's like this poor young innocent kid who, like you said, who just complains about everything like a little teenager. Yeah. I mean, he has a right to, right? All teenagers complain about having to do chores. But I'm like, bro, this is like your world that you live in. This is how you survive. This is just how it is. You need to go feed the sheep or whatever you need to do.
Yeah, like, and I understood his complaining in the beginning because I felt like he was living his normal life. And like you said, teenagers are complaining. And he starts to run. I can understand the naive complaining. But then after like 200 pages, I'm like, this dude is still complaining about the same stuff.
It's like, bro, there's people trying to kill you. Whatever their reason is, just smarten up a bit and run. Stop complaining. Do what you got to do.
So I was complaining about the characters being one-dimensional, but I would say the standout character from this book is not a human being. The dog is probably the best character in this entire novel, which is unfortunate because it comes to a tragic ending.
Oh my
Spoiler
God.
alert.
No joke. I was in like a wet, sopping, teary mess. I felt like all of my heart was shattering to pieces. I was like, Manchi, no! It was so bad. I feel like crying just thinking about it. It was so sad.
So throughout the story, the boy is accompanied by his faithful companion, which is a dog. And because it's a male, the boy can also hear the dog's thoughts. And the dog is just super cute the whole time, always thinking of like trying to help the boy or warn the boy, kind of like Lassie, right? Like if Lassie could like hear his thoughts.
Exactly.
So the entire time he's just super cute and he's always saving the boy, so he's always the hero. And then there's just one tragic twist. Man, that when it happens, I had to pause the story. I was like, no.
I know.
Why?
Seriously, I'm like tearing up. It was so sad.
It was super sad. I wanted it to be like not real. You know what I mean? Like, because that's how the chapter ends. Remember? Like the dog dies, and then it goes to the next chapter, and I was like reading really quickly. I'm like, no, be like a joke, or be like, oh, I thought he was dead, or something.
But he wasn't. Yeah.
I wanted him to be alive so bad.
Like stupid Bridgerton, and then she died, but then she was alive the next
in
moment.
Bridgerton, he says that she dies at the end of one chapter, next chapter.
She's alive.
She's fine. I was being dramatic.
We were waiting for that moment for Manchi, damn it.
But no, he died, and that was super tragic, and I was wondering why, because if the boy had died, I would have been like, good. He was annoying.
Yeah, finally. It's about time.
You kill the one character that I actually like in the story. Yeah. It doesn't get me to read book 2. I won't ruin the ending, but the ending was not that great. I would have came back for the dog.
I know. If they had left it at that, I'd have been like, oh no, I need to see. I need to make sure, because this is bad. This is changing my world right now.
Right? Okay, so imagine this ending. Like, instead of Viola, let's say, being in trouble near the end, let's say Manchi's in trouble at the end. And the boy is carrying Manchi, and he needs to take him to get medical help. And right at the end, he's like, will he get medical help? And then that's where the book ends. Right. I will immediately read book 2 just to find out if Manchi survived.
I agree.
We don't get that ending. Life doesn't work out like that.
I know. That was, honestly, Tony, seriously, I died when I was reading, and then I had to turn on to audiobooks because like this guy has a really good voice, so I want to hear this. So I kind of rewound, and I was listening, and I was like, oh my God. And how he, in his voice, because you know how he does the dog's voice, how he was like, Todd, like questioning. I felt like I was leaving him behind. I felt like I was leaving him to die. It was bad.
It was, the audiobook, you're right, I hadn't thought about that. I only read the audiobook. But reading the book, it would be your own voice. Yeah. But the narrator does a fantastic job of bringing the dog's character out. Yeah. And he uses that like, dumbed down dog voice.
Todd.
Man, and it's so cute through the whole story, but it is not cute when the dog is in trouble and he needs help from the one man he saved multiple times and he can't be there and it comes to a tragic ending. It is heartrending. So if you like feeling that emotional buildup and you really want to get your eyes wet, I would say listen to the audiobook because the narrator does a fantastic job.
Wet my face. I had freaking, what do you call it when you get out of the bath when you were in there too long?
Like wrinkles.
I had wrinkles all over my face. That's how much I was crying. My God.
Were you listening in the car while you were driving and crying?
No.
People are looking at you. They're like, what's wrong with her?
No, I was at home and I was reading it. And then I was like, you know what? The kids weren't here. Nobody was here yet. It was one of my half days. So I was like, I turned it on the audiobook. I was like, what is happening right now? I need this to be everybody needs to just chill. Let me figure this out. And I was listening to it. Seriously, oh my God. I was like, I just want him to come back and be like, I need to go poo, Todd. Poo, Todd. Yeah. I need to go poo. Like,
man, that dog was so cute. And like I said,
what did you imagine him looking like? I imagine him like a real scrappy looking, like tannish dog.
Same thing,
like
beige, tan. Right? Did they mention he was tan?
I don't know.
I don't know, but yeah, I kind of got the tan vibe. Really like scruffy looking.
Like beigey, tannish, real tiny, cute little dog.
Yeah.
Hair, like a little hairy.
And you think that he's not going to die because he gets injured multiple times.
Right.
And he comes back.
Even that. Jesus.
That dude goes through a lot to save that annoying kid.
I know. But it shows you how loyal dogs or even animals can be, even when you kick them.
You kick a lot of dogs?
Well, no. Remember Todd would always like,
oh, yeah. He's kind of violent to Manchi.
Yeah. He would like hit him on his backside and be like, you stupid dog, you know?
Yeah. Calls him names, spanks him.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I think kicks him, not hard, but like.
Yeah. You ruddy dog, he would call him.
Dog.
But I did like throughout the story, he started to slowly be like, good dog, you know, ruddy good dog you are.
I only
he started
had to save
really
your life
praise
multiple times.
I know, to prove my love for you and see my worth. Yeah, you're right. He was like the best character of the whole book, and now he's gone. So I don't know what we're gonna do with the next two books.
So I'm not interested in reading book 2 because the ending wasn't that good. The mysteries weren't very interesting. After everything was said and done, it seemed to be a fairly standard science fiction novel.
Yeah, I loved Manchi. I liked the noise bit about it. I loved the spackle creatures. I love how it showed as they were traveling. All the creatures there were pretty docile. I mean, except for the crocodiles and stuff. Yeah. But like, they were all pretty chill. And like, I feel like the humans kind of disrupted that harmonious peace that they had.
Such is history.
Exactly. So I did like the reflections of real life, things like that, but it was really sad.
Yeah, it was really sad because a lot of people died, a lot of things died, and it felt like there wasn't a lot of reason to it.
Right.
Like you could say like in real life whatever is the reason, but in a fictional story, you need a pretty good reason, especially if you want me to read book 2 and 3 of your trilogy.
Especially when they're like hundreds and hundreds of pages.
Yeah.
My Lord.
So towards the end, we get a cliffhanger ending between two characters you don't even like. Like, I barely like the protagonist, and I don't like the antagonist at the end, the mayor. Yeah. They're facing off, and it just ends, and then you have to read book 2 to figure out like what happens between them. And it ended, and I was like, I don't care.
Yeah, is it like, well, is she gonna bleed out or what? Or
like Viola was mildly interesting. She was a good character, and I liked her character arc because she had one. Yeah. Right? She became different in the end. She was changed because of it. And that's why you were semi-sad when she got injured. You wanted her to survive. Right. And again, I'm sorry that I'm harping on this 14-year-old boy, but if he was bleeding out, I'd be like,
too bad, leave him to die. Just leave him. I think why it was different for him and for her, because he was born there. That was his world. This is kind of like something that he's used to, I suppose. But for her, she came from something totally different. So when she came here, all these things would definitely 100% change her. I feel like for him, it's like an old person stuck in their ways. Yeah. I guess maybe he just didn't have room to grow.
So he needs 2 more novels to grow?
I guess. I don't know. I did like their relationship, though. I felt like they became really good friends. And the things that they went through made them and pulled them close.
Yeah, they were good friends, and I think he was the one that challenged that friendship multiple times. Well, I don't think it was his fault though, because again, remember, everybody can hear his thoughts. You know what I mean? So if you can't hide your thoughts, it's kind of hard to like not hurt people's feelings. Would you recommend this book?
The book's definitely better than the movie, but maybe the audiobook.
Oh, that's a good point. I would definitely recommend the audiobook. If you're going to read this, I don't recommend that you read it. It's like super long. It's not very interesting. Like I said, once the mysteries are solved, it's just a standard science fiction novel.